These are people.
Does it have any impact?
A little bit. In 2004, the legislature said, well, the people who get the Homes Youthful Training Act, they don't have to register as sex offenders. But the problem is, they didn't make it retroactive. So all those poor young men and women who got caught up before 2004, they're registered sex offenders. And our Michigan Court of Appeals has just issued an opinion saying that it is cruel or unusual punishment in some cases for the youthful offenders when they had a Romeo and Juliet consensual relationship to be registered sex offenders.
Is there any way to have someone removed from the list once they're on the list?
Well, there was a way, and the legislature gave us this petitioning process for juveniles and for the youthful offenders, but they put a deadline on it. It was arbitrary, and there's no reason for this deadline.
What is the deadline?
It was 2007, or 3 years after your discharge from probation. So I have so many clients right now who didn't know about this petitioning process, and they're stuck. And if we can prove that they are not likely to reoffend and there was no force or coercion used in the sexual act, then this gives the discretion to the court to remove that person or to reduce it from 25 years to 10 years registration.
But the Romeo and Juliet case it's ludicrous. I mean, it seems to me the purpose of sexual offender, you want to protect people from predators. You want to protect the public from the pedophiles. But this type of situation, it makes no sense. I mean...
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. And I am doing what I can to change the laws and to educate judges and prosecutors. And what I do is, and my husband at dinner parties starts laughing at me sometimes, but I tell my friends, I have 2 sons, they're 4 and 5, and I tell my friends, even with sons that are 4 and 5 and daughters that are 4 and 5, I educate them. I say the legal age of consent is 16. Tell your children as soon as you think is the proper time. And I don't think we're talking to our children enough. And talk to them about the dangers of sexting. I have 2 nieces. One just graduated from high school and the other one is in college. But I discussed it with them.
But you've got the problem with the fact that the same people who sponsor and want these laws are the same people who are saying that there should be no sex education in the schools.
I know. That's a dilemma. It is my belief we need prevention, not prosecution. How do we prevent sexting and how do we prevent underage teenage sex? We talk to our teenagers. We talk to our middle schoolers. We can't start soon enough talking about this. We have to have dialogue, and I'm hoping every family will do this around the dinner table. But we can't guarantee that, so why not bring it into our schools where we know our children will be?
Cheryl, we reached another break point. We'll be right back with my guest, criminal defense attorney Cheryl Carpenter, on the topic of texting, sexting, right after this break.
The Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America has important information for the millions of people with asthma. You may not know there are 2 main causes of asthma symptoms: airway constriction you feel and inflammation you may not feel. Learn how to better manage your asthma by treating both main causes of asthma symptoms. Treating both causes can help prevent symptoms before they even start. And preventing symptoms could mean a smoother ride. For more information, go to asthma.com.
We're back with my guest, Cheryl Carpenter, as we discuss issues with regard to sexting. Cheryl, before the break, you were talking about the fact that you got to educate children. Probably easier said than done. Tell us a little bit about the fact that children, they're impulsive. They don't think. Even adults think with the wrong part of their anatomy and get into trouble. Well, with children, it's even more difficult. So what would your response to that be?
My response is that we are criminalizing behaviors by teenagers based on their biological makeup. There has been recent studies, and this is an emerging field of neuroscience. Dr. Jay Gude of the National Institute of Mental Health has done MRI studies of teenagers' brains. And it's been proven now that the front part of the brain is the last to develop in teenagers. It's the frontal lobe. And that's the most important part of a brain. It controls our impulse control, our decision making, and it makes us realize that when we do an action, there's a consequence. For teenagers, that's not developed yet. They don't have the same developed brain as an adult does. We're looking at teenagers as many adults, and they're not. This is not, in my opinion, their fault in what they're doing. They don't, first of all, know it's illegal a lot of the times. And they don't think about what they're doing, and it's biological. And we as adults are looking at it wrong. We have to take that into consideration that their brains aren't fully developed and formed until they're in their mid-20s. That's why we always say when we look at teenagers, why aren't you listening to me? Why aren't you doing this? Why are you doing this strange behaviors? Well, they can't help it.
But because of that, what do you do to prevent this? I mean, that's the key.
Right. And for me, the prevention is discussion and education. Jessica Cooper, who's the head prosecutor of Oakland County, has started going around to all the middle schools and the high schools in Oakland County and talking to, and she's inviting parents and the students to come in and listen. And she's talking about sexting. And I think that is a wonderful, wonderful idea. Because if we don't educate the students of the consequences of sexting, both criminal and emotional, how are they going to know not to do it? How can we hold them responsible if we fail in our duty as parents and adults to protect them from this?
What about the fact that I think sometimes we give too much latitude to our teenagers anyway, and the computer is, you know, let's face it, teenagers, your children who are very young are probably more computer literate than a lot of adults, and it's just second nature. And you know, with the push of a keystroke, you can unleash, you know, almost anything. So what do you do beyond lecturing as far as control and protecting, especially when your children are growing up as they reach puberty in teenage years?
Well, I wouldn't lecture because...
They don't listen.
Yes. Part of the problem as adults, we are talking and we are lecturing and we're telling our teenagers no, no, no. We're not listening to them. We have to listen to our teenagers and we have to see what's on their mind. We have to create an environment where they feel safe to talk to us. And for us to come in, and I know there are parental controls and locks you can put on the computer, you can put it on the cell phone, I don't think that works. I mean, if I tell my teenager, nope, you're not doing that, I'm putting a lock, you can't go to this website, well, what are they going to do?
They're going to go to that website.
They're going to go to their friend's house and get on the website.
It's forbidden fruit.
Exactly.
And it's scary. I
Yes.
think you've raised a very, very important topic, and you know, I wish we had a lot more time, but I'm being cued that we're out of time. So, Cheryl, I want to thank you for being my guest on Practical Law and sharing this important information with us. And I want to thank you for watching Practical Law.